Hatim,
Yep.
have you ever been faced by a racist before?
Well, that's a difficult question. But yes, when I was in school, they used to call me African. They used to tell me to go back to my country.
Uh-huh.
And when I visited Africa for the first time, they called me an Arab, and they told me to go back to my country. So basically, where's my country?
Man, you have no country. Go to Mars. I think
And
you got so many stories to tell, Hatim.
yeah, I'm sure, but not more than our guest for today's show.
So let us hear from them. Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum
alaikum.
and welcome to Chat Away in Ummati Station. By the way, we were not late, but there was some technical issue that happened that didn't allow us to go live. So we fixed that up and now we're back. So how is all our followers doing? How are you all doing? Hatim, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm good. Don't look up. I'm right here, straight.
Here?
So, Hatim, what's happening today?
Yes.
What do we have?
Today, I think we have a very important show, and we should have had it long time ago, since the beginning. But maybe because of the current incidents that has happened a few weeks back, and also the past years, also a lot of things happened in relation to racism. So I thought, okay, why don't we talk about it? But we have two wonderful brothers today to share their part of the story when it comes to racism. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that they came across racism and
Mm,
they didn't know how to express it in any way. Maybe it's a taboo. People don't want to
yeah.
talk about it. But this platform is open for everybody to share their thoughts. So today's guest, my two buddies, Saeed and Hamdi Al-Riyami, who are very close and dear friends to me. Assalamu alaikum, Saeed and Hamdi.
Assalamu alaikum. For some reason, we
Thanks
can't hear your voice.
thank you
Yalla,
very
let's.
much for us to
Alhamdulillah.
come on the scene.
So, Saeed and Hamdi are two brothers. I'm not so sure which one of them is elder than the other. They all look young and smart,
Thank
mashallah.
you.
But
Hatim,
yes, yes.
you've been racist now.
No, I just,
Yes, hey.
Young and smart.
I,
See?
just,
What does that mean?
no, I just complimented them. I didn't say anything bad.
What
When you're
about the
saying something good,
what
it's not
about
racist.
what about the old people?
Yeah. No,
Hamdi and
thanks for having
Saeed,
us. Yeah.
yeah, we're very happy to have you on the show. Of course, both of you have background in engineering, and I believe you're both retired and enjoying yourselves now. So we are very
Yeah.
pleased to have you on the show. I'm not so sure if our audience have met you before or know anything, so I would leave the floor to you to start off with where were you born and raised so that they can have an idea why we're talking about racism today.
Okay. Well, both of us were born in Portsmouth, UK, back in the
Yeah,
60s. Yeah, not to give anything away. Um, our parents had immigrated from a place called East Africa, Zanzibar.
mashallah.
Mhm.
Um, back in 1964, actually, there was a revolution in Zanzibar, but our parents, in particular, left in the 1950s. My mother and father went as students to Portsmouth and UK, and we ended up being born there. And we were lucky to be born there at the time. And we didn't really feel racism in any sense of the word or understood racism really. I don't remember racism in school as much. I knew I was different. I always used to watch films with cowboys and Indians that used to be always the
Mm.
cowboys always won, and us, the Indians, being slightly of darker color, used to lose.
Yeah, yeah.
Some shows, but the name calling was not as I feel as it is today. It was a much friendlier place. There were less of us in our particular town. I mean, at that time in the 1960s, there wasn't so many. Where we lived in particular, you know, I remember going to school, there was only 2 of us in there. So by the time but for us, by being coloured, we became very popular because we grew up in a society which was not majority white, and all the friends we made or went to school with were white. So therefore, our names became quite easily known.
Yeah, because
MashaAllah.
they're not your standard, you know, British names. So when
Especially
there's something different,
your
people
name.
can.
Especially your name, Hamdi. I
What's
think
that?
it's especially your name.
Please.
It's unique.
What, the Egyptian name?
Hamdi, yeah. But it's also, it sounds more like Andy.
Yeah, that's true. Andy, Humpty. There's quite a few, but the common one was Andy. They say, "Don't you mean Andy?" And I say,
Andy,
"No,
yeah.
Humpty." And they go, "Yeah, Andy. You know, it's Andy."
So we didn't feel. I don't think we really felt out of place. We knew we were different. Obviously, going to school, we were quite popular. We had a lot of friends. Yeah, I mean, if someone done any name calling, our friends used to react to it before we did. In some ways, yeah.
We give them that. We give them that.
So really, I had a quite a happy childhood, if you like. The only time I really felt racism is when I got to my senior school.
Yeah.
And then meeting other boys and being different again, you know. But it made us a little bit tough, huh?
Yeah.
We had to become a little bit tough. I mean,
Had to come a little bit tough.
name calling was something that, you know, I mean, I remember, I mean, there's a good saying in England is sticks and stones can break your bones, but names can never hurt you. So for me, as long as no one touched me or bullied me in the sense of trying to hurt me, it never bothered me, really. Yeah, I think my friends used to react to it more. So up until about senior school, we didn't feel it. I don't think we really felt it.
It was the senior schools.
Yeah.
Senior schools was the junior, the younger one was less of. But I did, as I said, I did remember my first fight. I was 5 years old.
Tell us about it.
And that was I just joined school, and they wanted me at the playtime, break time. They wanted me to fight this other coloured boy, because he was the only other coloured boy, this Amble. All right, and because they the locals there in the UK, they hadn't seen a fight between 2 coloured people fighting, or 2 dark people fighting. And this guy, I think he was a Santolini.
Hamdi.
Yeah, I think he's
Hamdi.
Yeah.
So they were all standing in a circle and betting money on both of you.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. We were there, those days, pennies. But and then we had fun. But in the actual having the fight, he was one of my first friends at that school, because I managed to change the actual, make it look like we're fighting, but we wasn't. So I said to him, pretend to hit me so that, it looks like you're hitting me much harder, but you're not. That was the best way. That was the best way to get out of that. But that was my first introduction to the social environment, you could say, in schooling.
But Hamdi and Saeed, you two as kids, didn't you notice or realize that you're different than other kids?
That's what I'm saying.
Didn't this appear?
You realized it, but like
Did
I
you
said,
ask your parents? Did you ask your parents? Why are we different than everyone else?
No, I don't remember that. That's what I'm saying. We grew up. You have to remember, we grew up in England, right? And when you were a young kid, I mean, I'm talking about when you think about it. When you were a young kid going into, infant school and junior school, we never felt anything. My mum was quite strong. My dad was around us. Yeah, we didn't feel, you know, and we had a small community of family and uncles and aunties. I mean, most of them left later on, but at the beginning, we didn't feel it, and there was a few of us, so we knew we were different. We knew that we were coming from a different place, but we really didn't know. We didn't ask the questions like, you know, we knew we spoke Swahili. The mother tongue was Swahili, so we knew we were Africans rather than anything else, as far as we understood. And I don't really say, you know, looking back, there's nothing that makes me alienate the place or feel like, you know, I wish I was born somewhere else, if you like. Yeah? Yes, we were bullied, but it was not serious. Yes, we were chased, but it wasn't serious. Yes, we were called names, but like I said, names never hurt you. As long as they didn't grab you and try to hit you, then there wasn't a problem.
Yeah, but that was the names calling that is racial.
Yeah, it is racial. You feel it. I remember once coming home from the senior school and saying, "No, you know, they're picking on me a lot." And I remember my mum saying, "You know, pull your sleeves up and get back to school." And you know that's how it was. You had to be a little bit tough, and most of the kids were tough. It was tough times in the 1960s, 70s. Yeah.
You had to learn how to fight, basically.
Yeah, you had to.
You learned how to fight, look after yourself very quickly. Otherwise, you get that.
Are you talking? You have a support system around you. Yeah. We lived I remember the first place living in an area where it was a council estate. So the council estate, everybody, we had one Sikh family. We knew everybody in that Sikh family because between our family and the Sikh family, we were the ones who were prominent at the time. So we knew all of them. So we always used to nod against another coloured fellow which were around at the time. Everybody knew everybody. But we had a system of friends, all right, white friends, okay, that we had our own little world, if you like. You know, we went together everywhere. We had fights with people outside of that area.
It's called a gang.
You know, we done things that we shouldn't have done. At that time, the local police were not like today. They would clip you around the head, and you'd go home. Yeah. With, you know, the petty little crimes, petty little things, but the parents around that area, everybody knew everyone. Everyone knew where everyone lived, you know. So really, until we got to the senior school,
it's a senior school.
It's where things change because you start becoming older. You're a teenager. You are offended when someone calls you a name, and either you react to it or you take it. I mean, in our cases, most of the time when people called us names, we ignored it or tried to ignore it. But then, you know, if it came to it, you would end up having a fight after school or around the back of the sheds. You know,
what
most
sort
of the time it was
Said?
broken up.
Said, what sort of names they would
Nigger,
call you?
gollywog, nigger. Most of the time was nigger, you wog, you black bee. You know, there's a lot of these
what's the other name you said? What's the other name you said? Golly what?
Well, the gollywog is a good one actually. There used to be.
What does it mean?
Blackjack, jam jar.
On a jam jar,
yeah,
right. I mean, even the sweets used to be called blackjacks, you know, and they were black, all right. But these we didn't feel they were offensive. They became offensive when they get repeated to you, yeah. But I think for me, like in America, they use the nigger word a lot. We never had nigger a lot, really. We had black bee. Black bee was black, you know, and that used to be the word that was used the most, all right? But as I say, in the senior school, or when we were out, or with friends or something, someone would call you a name, in my case, a lot of the times, and my friends would react to it quicker than I could. Yeah? Because I wasn't one to react to names. I was more a person to react to being,
Physically.
you know...
Action. Physical.
Yeah? So I never used to get involved. But, like I say... all of this is education, yeah? This is like, it's like you think about, when I think about it now, all right, coming to 60, I think, yeah, it was not too bad. We didn't have a bad time there, you know? But as I see it now, I mean, in the old days, if you had a problem with someone, you had fisticuffs. You know, you had a good punch up and, you know, someone would get hurt and it would be over within a minute or 2 minutes.
Wham, bam, thank you, man.
The problem with racism today, all right, is that as the 60s and then the 70s, all right, racism today, if you have an argument, usually a 13-year-old can come up and stab you.
Yeah. and they don't go to court. They don't get taken to court about it because they're underage. But you being overage, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, they do now. They do now.
Yeah, but they seem to have a less of an offence if you're over. The other thing is when we say senior, when you go to senior school, that age group is 13 years old. Like those that in UK, 13 is class. You're in the senior school.
13.
You know?
Okay,
So
I
when we
was
say
thinking. I
junior
was
school and senior
thinking
school.
17 or. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Hamdi,
No.
okay, now you could defend yourself, when people call you names and this. What about other minorities? Would you be offended if you see other minorities also being called names? Do you go and do something about it? Or it's all
I used to
on your
always
own?
butt in.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
If I saw somebody who was a little bit weak in the school being picked on,
Yeah.
I didn't like bullying at all. I think maybe because I got bullied really early on, so I understood it very quickly by the time I left the infant school or the junior school.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to the senior school, if I used to see someone picking on someone because he was fat or he didn't fit in or he was a bit of a geek or whatever, I used to always used to butt in and be always on that. And I think most people were like that in the schools that I went to at the time.
Yeah, that's the same for me. It was if they were, it could be Chinese. It doesn't matter what nationality, but it's the tone of your skin that count. Because that's the main thing is it was towards if you was your skin color. That's whether for me.
Okay, how about
you just
how about
protect?
the
You seem
other
to have
way?
kind of a bond.
How about the other way around? Have you ever bullied anyone at that age?
No,
Hamdi, yes, a lot.
No, not really.
Hamdi, be honest,
not
man.
really. Because,
Be honest.
No. They used to bully
Be
me.
honest,
them two.
Hamdi,
I
be
had
honest.
another brother. We got another brother, and they used to pick on me.
Ah,
But no. I mean, no, we never used to bully. Like I say, I think because we got bullied early on, it wasn't
Okay.
in your nature to bully because you knew how it felt.
uh-huh.
Yeah, you knew how it felt. It was something that you learned by the time you was in the infants, by the time you got to the junior school, but by the time you got to the senior school, that's when people and kids can get more aggressive. Yeah,
that's to me, senior was more.
you know what I'm saying. It's not a natural thing for an infant to start calling you names. All right, it's not natural really so much. It is now more so, but in
But
our
then,
time,
yeah, it wasn't.
it's only because they're more educated, and there's a big difference now. There's a bigger
Oh,
community
yeah.
of blacks, and they all in England. They all seem to be put in the same housing estate. Yeah, and then when the Indians come or the Bangladeshis, they're all put in a different housing area or a different, like Birmingham. It's well known for this kind of thing. Parts of London, there are only blacks there. Yeah,
And
so
Arabs
there's some
has their
segregation
own
in
place.
well, yeah, Arabs, yeah. Well, they're sort of the Arabs came later because the Arabs, all right. In the early days, an Arab would have been classed as an Indian. They wouldn't have known any difference.
Uh-huh.
You understand what I'm saying? They wouldn't have, no, by looking at the Arab, you wouldn't have known that he's either a black guy or you just
Unless he's dressed.
You know,
The national dress.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't see it in England, not in the 70s. You wouldn't have known any difference.
No.
Yeah.
Now,
The
you
first
brought
time
me-
I really got to know about colours was in the 80s. Sorry, in the 1970s, there was a group that came out. I think they're still effective quite now, which was the National Front.
National Front, yes.
The National Front was they had a political agenda. Okay, I think they did get a couple of seats in Parliament in the early days, but in our particular area, when the National Front came out, they were the minority. The majority was anti-National Front. So anytime they used to come out, everybody used to get together, and then there would be,
A clash.
There would be a clash of some
There'll
sort.
be a clash. Yeah.
I think both of you, until now, you spoke about the color. Are there any other types of racism that both of you experienced when you were growing up? And I'll give you an example. You have a lot of Caucasians who came to England, like the French and German and Romanians, and they look the same like the English, but maybe they have an accent, they're from a different race. Did they also go through
I understand.
racism because of their
I
race?
understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying there, and yes, when you start going into the working environment for
Yes.
work,
Yes.
there, I felt there was quite a distinction at when you
In what way?
leaving school, applying for jobs, leaving school and trying to apply for work. There was some racism there.
Can you tell us a bit about it?
Okay, for example, I'll tell you one just off my head. I applied for a job in the papers. There was a job, and I applied for this job, working for this reputable company, and there was a phone, like a phone interview. They wanted more details, and when you apply those days, there was no mobiles.
Mm-hmm.
It was usually you have to send a letter, or it's by phone, your address and so forth. Where can I send my, something about your CV and what you've been doing, what's your experience, if you've got any work experience, you're studying. So, but by the phone, I would give them all this, information and that. And they said, "Oh, great, fine. Oh, we'll get in touch with you." The next phone call I get after a couple of days, "Oh, can you come to our office? We'd like to interview you.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like you to come." Oh, great, fine. When I went to the interview, there'd be a few people there. My issues, I noticed, 9 out of 10, they're all like white people. And then I noticed when it was my turn for the actual interview, by myself, they're acting. Oh, actually no, we don't do this. We don't do this. We don't do this. And you just felt negative.
So they changed.
Vibes.
They changed.
You wouldn't get I wouldn't get the job. At first I'd say, "Oh no, there'd be a couple of more people, not just me by myself. There'd be a few more people waiting for the interview." Okay, I'd say about 3 or 4 around there, but they're all white. I'm the 5th one, and I'd never get the job, even if I had more experience, more. And then when I found out by the secretary is really the one who told me. She phoned me later and said, "Listen, you're not going to get the job, okay?" And this was an Indian lady who she goes, "I'm a temporary secretary here only because they couldn't find anyone, and I came in as an emergency just as a secretary for this company."
Strange.
Because the lady is on leave because she's pregnant. She's having a baby. She's just had a baby.
Okay, so she's a replacement.
So they're out for 3 months, or whatever.
Yeah.
So. And they said, "You're not going to get it." That's why when they were interviewing you, she goes, "I could see," because she was taking notes in the interview. The second, she was taking down the notes of, the talk as proof, I suppose, of the interviews. But she told me and phoned me, she says, because of your colour. They won't accept no one. But they will try and be nice to you. And all that. I said, "No, I felt it." Now that's a real life. That's a fact. Okay?
That is true. You do get an instinct for if you're liked and not liked. You seem to know. Some people, although they want not to necessarily call you a name, but they will be offish with you. And because you're growing up with it, by the time you leave school, you have an instinct for who likes you and who don't like you. And you tend to avoid them. Yeah?
Yeah. Does it still exist? I mean, how long did it go, this racism thing?
I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example. The next time I really felt someone explaining something to me, I don't know, maybe because I was older, but I reckon, I can't remember, I think it was around 1981, like this. There came a time when it was free Nelson Mandela.
Oh, yeah.
There was a Live Aid, show in UK, all right, that sort of highlighted it. I mean, we didn't really know these things. We knew some things, but we didn't really know what was going on in South Africa until I went one day to a course in a place called New Haven, back in 1980, I think it was 80 or 81. And the guy that I got teamed up with to do some of these some of the works there was a white South African guy, and he was married to a colored Indian lady.
Okay.
So we had finished work, and because it was a 5-day course, we went to the pub after the job, and then we had a conversation. And he was telling me, you know, where are you from? And I said, I told him where I was from, you know, which area, and started having a conversation. And I think on the second day, he told me that, yeah, I come from South Africa. And I said, oh, okay. Free Nelson Mandela was around that. I said, oh, Nelson Mandela, I knew about that. What is it like? And he explained it to me. When he explained it to me, I was getting fumed, because he said to me, oh, yeah, we have 3 categories there. And I'm married to a colored girl and blacks. So that, I said, what? You have 3 different kind of... he said, yeah.
Segregation.
We have white, we have colored,
Segregation.
and we have black.
Yeah.
He said, so when I want to go to a hotel, he said, for example, when we go to different parts of South Africa, and I want to go in a hotel, I can't, because they won't accept coloreds or blacks.
Okay.
He said, or sometimes when we go to... I said, but for me, coming from England, that was like a real blow, because if you're talking about racism, for me, that was a political racism. That was an institute racism. That was racism every day.
Illegal.
That's, you know,
That's the red line.
that
The red
illegalized,
line.
is more racism.
legalized racism.
Well, think about it. We're coming from UK. We've just discussed how we feel about
And what we've
being coloured
experienced.
and all the rest of it. Our experiences compared to being coloured, black, or you're segregated literally by the colour of your skin. You've got three different things going on there. You know, and so for me, that kind of racism it made me angry. I do remember getting angry and saying, "Oh, you can't have this." And then Live Aid came, and then Nelson Mandela got freed. And every time something that comes, like for example the National Front,
The National Front was something. Yeah.
that's something that brings it to the forefront. It brings everybody's talking about it. Everyone's doing.
Someone has a question about the National
Nelson
Front.
Mandela.
If you can explain, he's asking, is the National Front in the UK considered as far-right group that is anti-immigration?
Migration.
It's extreme right, far
Extreme
right,
right.
extreme far right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a party where they believe if you're not there's a saying, I don't want to say all a saying, but the rhyme goes, if you're white, you're all right. If you're black, something back. Join the National Front. I'll never forget that song. That was used to be chanted in the bus and everywhere. But I don't want to say that as well. That rhyme. If you're white, you're all right. If you're black, back. Join the National Front.
That's it. You could have beat it out. If it wasn't live, you could have beat it out. Yeah.
That
But
was
they're really weak, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, this is not something where you can say it's on a big scale.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a following. Yes, they get a lot of publicity time. But they're weak, very, very weak group as far as UK.
kill him.
Yeah, but I have
They
to
shouldn't be
mention
there.
this. I have to mention this, that as we are talking about racism, it's not a monopoly in the European countries only, or the African countries. Even in the even in the Middle East, there's a lot of racism, and even in the Indian subcontinent, they have the caste system.
Oh yeah.
So, like in the Middle East, you have the tribalism. So it differs from one place
Which
to
we've
the other.
experienced. Yeah.
The severity, how severe it is.
Yeah, the
In some
severity of
states,
it.
like in South Africa, it used to be legal to segregate. You know, the roads for the black and the white, and the hotels and the shops and everything else. You have, like in the United States recently, what happened, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, this is something that has been going on for a very long time. You have the caste system in the Indian subcontinent, and even in Arabia, the Prophet, peace be upon him, worked so hard to remove this distinction between people. where
Yeah.
he said in one of the prophetic tradition, there is no difference
But
between an Arab and a non-Arab, and a white and a black, except through piety. But in today's modern day, you see people going back to the old ignorant state of being racist towards other because of
Well,
nationality,
do
because of
you know what I
color.
feel it is? I
Yes,
think there's a change. There's been a change shift in the last 10, 15 years. The change shift is that we have mobile phones. People are more
yes,
aware of it. I mean, you think that Black Lives Matter and the riots that recently happened in America would have happened if it wasn't filmed? Yeah.
yes,
I mean, can
yes.
you imagine if we had this technology now in the time of South
Oh
Africa?
yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
think the world would have reacted
That would have
differently,
been
right? So, but
exactly.
what I will say is that if you look at what did happen in the 80s, South Africa is still suffering from it today. And recently it showed itself. Yeah? You got a road, you got 82% of people living on this side of the road are Indians and white people. And on the other side of the road, you've got 90% of the people who are black. And the other percentage are Indians. Okay? There's a clear cut thing that's happened in the 80s that is carrying on into the 20s.
There's a clear distinction, basically. There's a clear distinction in it.
You get my point. They've put you behind in such a way that when you're trying to come forward, that you're already starting on the back leg. Yeah. In UK, there is an equal sort of opportunity. You can't say there's not an equal opportunity, but there is racism within the political arena. Okay. I give you an example. Even the comedians in England make a joke of it. They say that to make up the numbers that they're given positions in some of the TV, for example, so they make up the quota for colours being represented, right? So a good example. We'll look at the news. If you look at the news in UK, all right, you'll
notice there's more and more.
You'll find that
more and more coloured people or orientated, coloured people in the news.
Yeah, you see them in the news. You see them in the news, but behind the news, there's not many of them. They're put forward as like a kind of token gesture. This is what we're doing. We're trying to. A report recently came out in UK saying that there's no black systematic system in UK. Something of that came out recently. Yeah, but I agree with what Hatim was saying. I mean, I think it is ignorance. I think it is worldwide. All right. When you say racism, it's very simple to say racism, but racism on a political level, racism on a school level, an individual level at school, racism as an individual dealing with it, yeah, or racism, if you like, these wars that are going on, one country against another, even in the Middle East, yeah. There's so many kinds of racism nowadays. Racism is not just black and white anymore.
Yeah.
Saeed, I understand when sometimes the racism is because of the state. Maybe you don't have you can't do anything about it. The state is like that. The policies that they make
No.
there.
I disagree.
But
You can do
when
something about it. The point is, that's the point I was
let
trying
me
to make to you.
wait. Let me
Nowadays,
finish.
let me finish.
Let me finish, Saeed. Let me finish. But sometimes,
Okay.
or the majority of the time, the problem is also with individuals. When racism is per the individual, they can change. But you see a lot of racism with individuals, even more than the states themselves. So we are trying, if we can't change the bigger picture, or it's very difficult, or it will take a long process, we're talking about changing individuals, their mindset, the way they treat others. We can make it. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is the incident that happened in the UK now because of football. The three football players that were colored, that
Saka, Sancho,
the amount,
and
the amount, the amount,
guy.
yeah, the amount of racism that was against these three players was not from the state. It was from people like me and you, individuals, normal people.
Mm.
They expressed what is in their
Yeah.
heart. And this is what we're talking about. People
Well,
need to change their mindset
Okay.
towards
Can I
others.
say? I would say something. We watched the football game, me and Hamdi here. Okay, we
Yeah.
watched the football game, and when the penalties were taken, and we lost, I stood up and said, "You watch what the papers say tomorrow." I didn't
Mm.
say, "Look what happens with the people and all that." I said, "Have a look at what the papers say," because that's more important to me than a group of people going to spray on a mural and get upset about something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was upset because they lost the football match. Yeah,
Yeah.
a majority of them didn't go around, slagging all the black people. The majority of them, actually, when you watch the news, the majority of them said that this is stupid. They shouldn't be doing that.
So they were
Yeah.
yeah,
against
you got
this
you got the
idea
people
of.
who was talking against it, but go on.
Yeah, no, no, I'm saying that they were
No,
against those people who were racist to the players.
yeah, that's right. So there was racism there, and you had people talking against it. But as Hatim said, it was already there and expected. Believe you
Mm.
me, if it was them three, okay, Rashford, Saka, and Sancho, if we were the only three to score the goals, not
Mm-hmm.
miss the
Yeah.
goals, you wouldn't hear a word.
Oh yeah.
You got my point? You wouldn't
Mm.
hear a word of
Mm.
oh, they're black. That's why they scored. You won't hear
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
You'll just think England. That's for England.
So now it's
But
England,
the
yeah.
other way around, when they missed, you had
Mm.
the white British turning round because they're this, they're that. You still had people talking against them. Okay, in the media, but that was to me England trying to show, look, we got more people against it than for it, as
Yeah.
in racism.
Yeah, but that's how I believe it is. I think that there's always, there's a minority that spoils the majority. It usually happens in most cases.
That's
Yeah,
everywhere, yeah.
there'll be a small
Yeah.
outbreak, and the papers will get hold of it and blow it up into a big thing. It's like the football has been they've been standing down on one knee for a long time. All
Yeah.
right.
Showing
Okay, I
their.
remember when I played football. If you want to talk about playing football, I used to get called names all the time on the football pitch. And when you scored, you got called a name, you know what I mean? Especially from the opposite. But nowadays they're throwing banana skins on the
Mm.
pitch.
Yeah, remember Italians?
You get my point?
Every coloured person
Yeah.
touch a ball, the gimmick a monkey, meaning he's a monkey, a
Oh.
black
So,
monkey.
you
That's
know,
bad.
this then becomes like international. Everyone sees it, everyone reacts to it, everyone gets angry about it, yeah? So, but the majority is not usually, anywhere you go, it's not the majority, it's a minority, and then the whole place get pasted. It's like recently in Australia. Australia had a problem recently, didn't they?
Yes.
Was it recently? I think it was quite recent that they had some sort of problem where, there was two guys on a train or something, and they all rushed to the area, and there was a lot of fight. I think it's called Candom, where there was a lot of fighting and a lot of people venting, a lot of people who say, oh, because we don't get the jobs we used to, or I think it's just more prevalent now because we see it more on the screens.
Mm-hmm.
And just one
I
thing I'd like to point out, this is very recently, actually just a couple of days. I don't know if you've looked at the media lately, but do you know the Olympics? The
yes.
Yeah.
Olympics, okay, this BLM, Black Lives Matter movement, and bending the knee, the Olympics, okay, said no, we're not going to have it. You're not going to bend the knee for it. Okay, do you know why? Because this is where I feel there's going to be a distraction, because the LGBT, the gay,
Mm.
lesbian, blah, 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 they said,
Mm.
right, if we can't show our flag and we get representative, why should Black Lives Matters? These are two different issues.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Racism is one issue, and gays and lesbians is a total another issue. But they're trying to mix it in to get the public to sway from racism.
And
That's
if
what
you're
I feel.
against the LGBT, that means you're a racist.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. How can you put the
What?
LGBT as a racist thing? This is where they try to blur the lines, and it's too distinctive. One is one side, and LGBT is another thing. A totally different issue, nothing to do with racism. So people should be aware when they start seeing, yes, now let's have the gay rights, the lesbian rights, and all this. It's a totally different issue.
I think the lesbian and this gay marriage and all the rest of it was brought up by governments looking at the population, all right, getting too big, and it was another way of introducing something where they could reduce the population by accepting gay and gay rights. I mean, you have to look at the bigger picture for a lot of things, yeah. I mean, if you wear blinkers, sometimes you don't see the big picture. But everybody knows. What do you want? 11 billion? We're going to eat ourselves off the planet.
Well,
you know.
you know, the way they look at it is different, and the way we look at it as Muslims is totally different. And I think we can have a
I
special
think that's another
dedicated.
subject.
Yeah,
I really feel
that's a
that's
total
another
different
subject
thing.
because
Yeah,
that's
but
a huge one.
to
There.
bring you back to the main topic, which is racism, I want to talk a little bit about religious racism. Now it's beyond the color, beyond the race. It's about your faith, what faith you come
Yeah.
from. That makes a big difference. And mentioning this is the incident that happened in New Zealand, the shooting of 51 people in the mosque, and
Right.
the burning of the Rohingya Muslims in Burma,
Yeah.
yeah, and also the concentration camps in Asia or China because of people being Muslims, and the ban of the hijab, the ban of the minarets, and the mockery of the Prophet ﷺ. So all of these things are starting to rise on the surface because of faith. Although, if you see in reality, the majority of the European countries are secular. They don't care about religion. They don't care about Christianity or anything, or Judaism or anything else. But they have a problem with Muslims. Why do you think they have a problem?
Why do they have a problem? I think after 9/11, I think 9/11 made a big change. Yeah. Because, you know, one thing, I'll give you an example. Let's look at it this way. What recently happened
Yes,
between Israel and Palestine, right? That was the first
yes,
time that you saw the Muslims, all right, and everybody else, all right, say that this is a subject that needs to be aired, okay? It went viral everywhere, okay? That went viral, that what happened in Israel with the Palestinians, okay? And we all understand it. And this has been going on for years. Okay? When we get to the other subject, what we was just talking about now, it's a bit different. In the sense is that how did I want to explain it? It's just different. It's how, you know, the Palestine thing was a big thing. I mean, the same in New Zealand. You know, these they're like they're like incidents that make things bigger. The example, Palestinian was a big thing because we all, the whole Middle East and others and other countries,
The world is aware.
they
They're
got
aware.
aware of it.
They're
Right?
aware.
yes,
It was the same as
yes,
that when the Black Lives Matter, they put the knee down on the guy. 9/11 was a big turning point. All right, we had no say in that. Something happened. Okay, America went against us. The UK went against all the Muslims, and then eventually, what you saw was Iraq, Libya, Syria. All right, and then when you look at the big picture, you think, well, what's going on here? Why are they doing that? Yeah, you could argue as well what's going on in Yemen. Yeah, but you're thinking to yourself, weapons of mass destruction. There isn't any. They didn't find any. Okay, you go to Syria. Okay, the guy has been there for years. You try to take him out. Everybody takes sides, and then what? There's what? I don't know how many. 600,000 Syrians displaced, and I don't know. The place looks like a bomb site.
A few million gone to Turkey.
There's nothing left of the place.
yeah.
Yeah. Libya. Okay, let's go to Libya. What was all that about? I mean, what I'm trying to say is that sometimes if you want to bring all these things, whether it's religions, Well, religions have been going on since the 1400s.
Earlier than that.
Yeah.
I
The
think
Crusades. The
you know,
Crusades. That is a form of racism. The Crusades.
yeah, Saeed and Muhammad,
That's going back
and
even
sorry,
earlier.
Saeed and Hamdi, we might have these racism as a state, you know, this one state invading the other or being animosity to particular religious group. But the most dangerous one is the racism between ourselves, like the war between the Sunnis and the Shia, or the different
Yeah.
tribes and madhabs of Muslims. You know, when there was a problem between Algeria and Egypt because of football. These are brothers. They share the same language, they say that the same culture, the same religion, but they fight for petty things. And it's our duty, I think, in our generation to change the mindsets of the Muslims that we should love one another. What we're doing
Oh
is
yeah.
we are encouraging others to be racist on us because we are not, you know, just ourselves. We don't practice the love. We preach love
Hatim.
to one another, but we don't love one
Yeah.
another, actually, in reality. Yes, Hamdi.
Just one thing, Hatim. Having saying what you said, for example, on the religious aspect, Shia and Sunnis, so it could be Ibadis as well. You know, I know we're small, but
Yeah.
it could be there as well. I wouldn't say that is racist. That's a religious maybe issue than a racist issue. I can't say that's a fault. I'd say prejudice, but that's not racist because it's not about your color there. You got my
I
point on
would
the
like
religious
I
aspect.
would
It's not
disagree.
about color.
I would disagree with you that it's not racist. It is racism because basically, when you talk to a lot of these guys, they even don't know what's the difference. If you ask them, how many books did you read from the other side? What do you disagree with them? They just heard from someone, from their sheikh, from their tribal leader, from their community. They don't even know what's the difference.
I mean,
They don't know
I
even
think.
what happened at the time when the Prophet peace be upon him died, and how did the ummah split into Shia and Sunnah. A lot of Muslims don't know because they don't read, but still they are racist
No,
to one another.
Yeah.
can I just say, can I just,
Okay.
you see, we're not practicing. I agree with what you're saying. We're not practicing that, but I don't think that's, look, if you read the books, you will understand that eventually, all right, this ummah will come back together again. Okay?
Inshallah.
So that's no, that's in the books, right? So it's going to come back together again. When we're talking about racism, and when we're talking about uh, what's it now, minority groups in an area, and because there's for example, what's happened in India? You have a population in India of 1.3 billion. Okay, you have a small population of maybe 200,000 Muslims. Yeah, and you can see, all right, when
200,
COVID
200
started,
million, 200 million
200 million,
Muslim,
sorry. Yeah,
200
yeah,
million.
1 point, yeah, 200 million.
Yeah.
But when the COVID started, all right, it was spread by an Islamic meeting by the Muslims. If you initially saw that,
That was India. That's what
it was spread by,
yeah,
all right,
India was saying.
they wanted to quarantine them and they didn't, you know, put them, right?
Modi said
And then
that.
eventually they found out that this is not the case, all right? But it was
Yeah.
used.
It was
that-
used in the
it was
media.
used.
I saw that. Yeah.
That is not racism. That is politics at its best.
Yeah, but no, what Hatem was saying is on the Shia. What we was getting to is the Shia and the Sunnis saying that
There is no issue
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
Shia and in here. If you look at the end of the day, all right. If you open up the Quran, does it say anything about Shia and Sunni and Badi, and does it say that?
yeah, they said
But,
people will
but
try and deviate away. People will
no,
deviate
what
you
I'm
from
saying,
the straight path.
what I'm saying is that it doesn't say that. The Quran doesn't say that. But the practices that we practice
So the
say the
Quran doesn't
opposite.
say that. That should be. Sorry, the Quran doesn't say that. That should be our full stop.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. But what you see
Okay,
today,
so now,
if you look at let's say if you go to Hyde Park and you see the debates between the brothers, the
oh,
Sunnis and the
yeah, yeah.
Shia,
Yeah, Speaker's
it's
Corner. It's called
shameful.
Speaker's Corner. I'm going
Speaker's
there soon.
Yeah,
corner. Yeah.
yeah. I don't agree with that. We are brothers. No matter how much we disagree, we should not be enemies. We should not clash. We should not debate in that way because that's not right. If
Oh
you
yeah,
if
I
you
agree.
if you
Yeah,
wanna
yeah, I agree.
if you wanna debate with your brother, go in a private place all alone, in a restricted place, talk, drink tea, smile with one another. You disagree, but you respect one another. But to go on the street and debate and disagree like that, I don't think it represents our religion. It doesn't represent the Prophet ﷺ. And the core of our religion is based on love and understanding and not animosity.
Yeah.
well,
Going back to
but,
racism.
But,
okay.
but, but again, all right, it's good to be open, all right? And if you
Yeah.
look at that there, you see that at least they can have a debate between white and black about a subject which is very passionate, religion, all right?
Yeah.
But yet, when it comes to racism, they can have a quick punch up for simple reason. You called me, what did you call me?
Yeah,
You get my point.
it's true.
That's why I said to you that that's a different subject, and maybe we should have a discussion
So
one day on that.
I
But
think
racism,
in short, if we talk about racism, the definition of racism is mainly that I'm telling you that I'm better than you, and I think even
yeah,
in the Quran it's
yeah.
mentioned that the first one who said that was Iblis, and he said when all the angels prostrate, and he said, no, I'm not going to prostrate because I'm better than Bani Adam. So I think that's the main definition
Let
I
me
would
just
give.
say,
Maybe it's
this
not
is my
maybe it's not
definition.
there maybe it's not there between the madhabs. Maybe it could be part of what you, Hamdi, said, the prejudice, but it's also telling you that this is what I believe in. If I'm Sunni, this is what I believe in. If I'm Muslim and you're non-Muslim, this is what I believe in. So it's what you believe in. So maybe it's a little bit there's a thin line
yeah.
maybe between racism and prejudice, or
It's
whatever
true.
you give it.
It's a bit of a fine line because you got to know that when people say, "Oh, you're a racist," and saying, "Oh, you're a prejudice," it's a bit of a thin line. Extreme prejudice, extreme racist. I mean,
I think sometimes when you look at it, like you're saying, Hatim, I understand what you're saying fully, okay, and I think all of us can agree, all right. It is not black and white, all right. Because I give you an example. I mean, summer comes up recently. Summer has come up in UK, all right, and the majority of people sitting on the beaches trying to get brown are white people.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, can you understand the irony? What I'm trying to make here? I mean, it doesn't. It's not because look at them. We're not going to say look, guys. they call us names, but right away they're going to. There's a bit of sunshine now. Let's go and get a bit of color.
yeah.
No.
Said,
So what I'm
but
saying
also
is
colored people, they want their hair straight, and they put the cosmetic
yeah,
to look white, and they change their nose
yeah.
as well
But
to look like a
India,
white person.
in the girls have got creams that they put
Oh,
on
there's
to make
They
special
do.
creams
The
for
girls,
that.
the
Yeah.
girls here, the Arab girls here, they're trying to put their creams on to come white. Hey, what's going on? If it was temporary, like having a suntan, you could understand. But they want it permanent here. What form of that's like being racist to themselves or what?
I think I can tell you. Let me just say something. Can I say quickly the way I look at it? All right, is that if you're not wearing blinkers, okay, if you're not wearing blinkers and you can see everything, you can laugh about it. You can laugh a lot about things. Yeah, it's the same as the
Yeah.
football thing. They didn't score 2 goals, and half the nation is talking about a mural that Rashford had, and they're spoiling it, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't be like that, and then 3 days later, everybody forgets about it. That's the end of that story. What's the next one? Yeah? It's like we're waiting for the next thing to happen. Racism's not going to go away. I'm like Hatim. I agree with you, Hatim. Maybe we should start hugging people on the streets. Hey, my white brother, please,
Do we still
Said,
have
UK's changing anyway.
do we still have skinheads now, or they're gone? The skinheads.
Yes, there's still skins. There are still skinheads still
Even
about.
even I was a skinhead at one time in UK.
No, you
How's
just
that?
went
Really?
bald.
Yeah, I
How's
know. I
that?
didn't know that. I had all the gear. I used to be a mod. I used to be a bit of a mod at one time. Shaved my head.
Oh.
I used to call him Peanut.
Now, okay,
Good old
listen,
days,
guys.
Peanut.
Listen, guys. Now we talked
Yeah.
about the negative part of racism, okay? And there is no point of
Just
bringing
Hatim,
up all the
just a reminder that we
yes,
are running out of time, so maybe we'll have 2 more minutes.
yes. We're wrapping up now,
All
inshallah.
right.
There is no point on bringing up all the negative aspects of racism and not talking about solutions. Okay, so we have kids growing up. We need to teach them certain values so that they don't go through the mistakes that we have done in the past through racism. So, what do you guys think in terms of the solutions? You know,
Well, I give you. I
we
can talk.
want the light at the end
I
of the
can talk.
tunnel.
The light. The
Yeah.
light. I tell you what. One light is. There are more and more couples who are white and black, whether it's a white mum, a black father, or a white father and a black mum. They're getting married in the world. They love each
Mhm.
other. So my answer to all of that would be love conquers all.
Yeah,
Because if they're getting married and they're having children, or be any color at all, it would just be shades of white and shades of black.
Yeah.
My view is I feel from a very early age, okay, all schools around the world in an early age, you show colours only skin deep. It's just a colour. You shouldn't almost make a religion out of it, racism, because some of it is inbred from their fathers and mothers to their kids, to their grandkids. It goes through the line. Hate coloured people, hate their colour. Okay,
Yeah.
it should be taught in every school. It means nothing. If you get our youngsters to adapt this around the world, believe you me, what a change it would make in 10 years. Because by the time they've grown up, knowing, so when someone does say something or say, oh, because this one's coloured, oh, look, he's a dirty colour or whatever, okay, it'll be wiped out almost by that time. But you've got to start from the young age. The older age can only learn now.
Somewhere. Education is right.
Education.
But
yeah,
I think it's already
Education,
happening.
yeah.
People are, there's intermarriage nowadays. Yeah,
Yeah.
intermarriage is another way that's changing it. I mean, you know, UK is a
Multicultural.
multicultural and multicolored country now. It's not just black and white anymore.
I
okay.
hope it
That
changes
is
even for children.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hatim, because there were some videos that I've seen in the past about the dolls. You know, and most of the dolls used to be white, and there was like an experience done to children showing them, you know, this is the white doll. She's a nice person, and then they brought another doll which was black and said she's the evil, and that's what they were learning the children. I don't know if that's still happening. So such things has to stop.
Because if the society are willing to for in the schools, I think just after nursery school, as soon as kids can take in values, they allow it. They're fighting for it for the LGBT to teach. I don't know places like Norway, these either Eastern Europe. Okay, they're fighting for them for LGBT to say there's no problem, nothing wrong, but to talk about an older issue, older than this such issue, which is color, one of the oldest things of racism itself. We're still having a problem. It should be taught at school early age,
Yeah.
around the world, and it
Definitely.
would be wiped out. Then it'll be very strange. You'd most probably put someone in a mental hospital if you start talking about color. Power to the people.
Okay, guys, I think at the end we would like to thank both of you for joining us on the show. Thank you very much for your valuable time and your ideas and your stories that you shared. And I hope we, in a very, in our own way, we could make a difference in this world. Every one of us would try with their own, with their kids, with their
Yeah.
neighbors, with their
Inshallah,
community.
inshallah.
But my
Thank
final
you, Ali.
message to the people out there who are listening, uh, none of us, no matter where you're coming from, none of us chose to be this color. It is God that
That's
created
true.
us and chose this color for us. And nobody chooses his race, nobody chooses his parents. The only thing you choose is your belief. So even
Yes.
when it comes to belief, people should
Yes.
respect one another and be tolerant and coexist with one another. That's the only way to live together in this shared planet and be safe and
Yeah.
wait for the day of judgment. Thank you very much, Saeed and Hamdi Al Riyami. And it was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks to
Alhamdulillah.
both of you.
Hatim,
Thanks.
Ali,
Thank
very
you.
nice. It's our pleasure to come on the show
The
with you.
pleasure is
Yeah.
Inshallah,
ours.
we'll do it another time. And may the force be with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamdi. Thank you,
Thank you.
Saeed. Thanks to
Take
both
care.
of you.
Shukran.
Thank
Thank
Take
you,
you.
care,
Hamdi.
man.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Ali. Thank you.
Take care. Assalamu
Bye
alaikum.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. MashaAllah. So that was an experience has been shared. And
Yeah, Alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah. I hope this is more like a alarm, wake up call for people to understand, because racism, I think we have it everywhere, even in the place where we live, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. You're in the position, you're saying you're a senior. The moment you think you're a senior and looking, down to others, that is racism. So I think it's a big definition, and maybe covering it in this tiny show is not going to be enough, and it might not even make a change.
I think also, Ali, racism is a disease. Once you admit that you have this disease
Mm-hmm.
and you get cure, you're going to get rid of it. But if you are ignorant and arrogant and you don't
Yeah.
admit that you have a disease of racism, then it will always be there. And you'll always undermine people.
Very true, and you might actually reach to a position where you don't even feel it. You might be
Yeah.
racist to others, but you don't feel it, and that I think is a bigger disease. If you're not aware of it, that's a bigger
Yeah.
disease. So it was a
Anyway, it
very
was
fruitful.
nice. Yeah.
So
Thank you very much, Ali, for organizing this.
like
And
and
the floor is
share.
yours.
Hatim, continue. Like and share. Then what? Subscribe.
And subscribe.
And hit that indication button so you get the
Oh, I
notifications
forgot
from
that.
UMMATI
Yeah.
station. They have to hit that, man. They have to hit that. And thanks to all our viewers, by the way, who has been there, mashallah, for a long time watching us. And I hope, please spread this message, not just by watching, but if you can share anything that you have learned from here. I think the world has, need to understand, that racism exists and it has to vanish one day, inshallah. So until then, assalamu
Assalamu alaikum.
alaikum.
Take care.